Policy.
We will call this meeting to order. Ms. Humphries, will you please call the roll?
President Spear,
Here.
Vice President Osborne. I'm sorry, I lost track.
Member Causey.
Member Causey.
Here.
Member Gresham.
Here.
Member Holcomb.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Moving on to 2.3, Pledge of Allegiance. Since I did not ask anyone in advance to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, I will go ahead and start. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Usually I ask someone in advance, but I never want to surprise anybody with that request. Yes. Moving on to 2.4, adopting the agenda, I will accept a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Causey moved to adopt the agenda, and Mr. Holcomb seconded that motion. Please vote. Hi, Marcus. The agenda has been adopted. Moving on to 3.1, presentations and recognitions. Dr. Baca.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the Governing Board and Executive Team. This is always the highlight of any board meeting, which is awarding well-deserved staff for the You Make the Difference and Shining Star Awards. Ms. Anna Andrews, the President of the Madison District Classroom Teachers Association, will recognize the merits and accomplishments of our employees from Madison Rose Lane and Madison Traditional Academy. So, Governing Board, if you'd like to join me up front as Ms. Andrews comes forward to introduce our first recipient.
Classroom Teachers Association, excuse me, and Madison administration to recognize the certified and classified staff who truly demonstrate Madison's vision of inspiring passion for learning and leading in an ever-changing world. And tonight's first You Make the Difference Award recipient is Char Fazio. Char knows her curriculum like the back of her hand. She is steadfast in making sure students have meaningful feedback on their math. She keeps her grades current so that students have the opportunity to fix their mistakes in a timely manner and works with grade levels below and above to ensure a smooth transition to and from 6th grade. Char was vital help to our new 7th grade math teacher who is out for a time on paternity leave. She helped with lesson plans, grading tests, and preparing the substitute every day he was out. She has also been a tremendous help to our new athletic director, assisting with administrative duties and offering valuable suggestions and procedures. Char is passionate about mathematics. Her teaching reflects current understanding of best practices, but beyond that, her ability to connect with students shows she is not just a teacher of math, but a teacher of all children. Students feel comfortable sharing with her. She teaches an elective class called Student Voice, in which she inspires students through social emotional learning to make goals and have a growth mindset. She inspires students to learn and grow in their education. Char is a vital component of the 6th grade team, as well as the MTA and Madison team. She is part of the PBIS committee at the school and has also been a part of the District Wellness Committee. Thank you, Char, for all you do and for choosing to teach at MTA. Mrs. Fazio, you make a difference.
We have a microphone up here for you, and we also have your award.
Thank you so much.
I will hold that so
Okay.
that you can say a few words.
Okay.
You to stand here so you can actually see everybody.
Okay, great. First of all, I would like to thank the board. This has been a challenging year, challenging couple years, but for me, it's revitalized my teaching because when we were home, all I wanted was to be back. And I have loved every minute of being back, and we have been supported. Mr. Duff has been so supportive. You have been so supportive that I could never have done this job without the support of Madison. I spent 20 years in a very large district, Paradise Valley. Made the switch to Madison after 20 years there, and I have never been happier with the small family feel of Madison. I've always felt welcome. My daughter attends here, so I'm thrilled to be part of this district. I hope to end my career in this district, so thank you for all the support you give me. Thank you, Mr. Duff, for making my job so much better. And everyone else. Thank you, everyone else, and thank you, my husband, who's always completely supportive of me. Yes. Yes, thank you.
Make sure you recognize.
Yeah.
Our next You Make the Difference Award recipient is Alicia Patton. Alicia Patton is one of the most positive people on Roselane's campus. It's no wonder she leads us in our PBIS program. She always has a positive spin to add in any situation, helping us to see opportunities for growth with our own mindsets as well as the students. She exemplifies patience and acceptance with all students and staff members, regardless of how she may be feeling in a situation. She inspires us to see the positive. Alicia's impact on our campus's PLC is represented by the way she serves her own kindergarten team, offering support and suggestions for working with all students when managing behaviors, and representing teachers by serving on the MDCTA. She is also a trainer in thinking maps. She has a positive impact on every aspect of our Roselane community. Alicia inspires a passion for learning in her classroom every spring when she bravely signs up to hatch chicken eggs for one of kindergarten science units. She creates leaders in her classroom by encouraging students to be positive role models for each other and creating opportunities for them to lead their groups. Alicia Patton is an active member in all areas and always willing to offer support where she can. She dedicates her time and energy to our community, and that is why she truly makes a difference.
All accurate.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my son William is here. Normally I have both boys, but Dad is at home with the youngest. They're supposed to be here, but they had to stay home. So, and thank you for coming. He just said that he remembered he's been here before, but there are many more chairs. So it's not his first time at board meetings. And so thank you, Willie, and to my family for being so supportive. I insert myself a lot at school, and I do a lot of things per that nice introduction. And my family is very supportive of that, and my husband definitely, and also my team, my family at school. I'm Rose, Andre, Mrs. Devine, Mr. Reyes. You guys are amazing, and this year there's so much that we can do for each other, and just that open communication and being there for each other. Trying to, why I love Roselane so much is that we are there for each other and we help each other out as much as we can. And I love being a part of that. And my home is Roselane, and so it's my forever home. I've moved around before. It's my forever home. So anyways, thank you.
All right, and our first Shining Star Award recipient is Lori, excuse me. She's our second. Our first is Jerzy Serafin. Since coming to Rose Lane, Jerzy has taken it upon himself to look at the needs of the school and address these needs. He has gone beyond the boundaries of his job description by taking on projects that help the staff and students of our school. Examples include helping teachers reconfigure the built-in storage in their rooms and restoring a previously unusable antique water fountain so that it could be used by students. He is a true leader of the night custodian, and he shows this by supervising both our regular crew members and those who are working with us on a temporary basis while setting the example with a great attitude. Not only does he do what his job requires, he makes a point of asking his fellow staff members in all departments what their needs are and how he can address them. Jerzy also ensures that the campus is secure each night before he leaves. His example truly inspires a passion for learning and leading by showing his fellow staff members that caring for one another and for our schools is what we all need to do to make our district a better place to be. Jerzy's family has long been associated with Rose Lane and Madison District. His wife taught at Rose Lane for many years, and his granddaughter currently attends. Many years ago, Jerzy was one of the original creators of Rose Lane's Secret Garden, which is regularly used this year by the students in our multi-age classrooms. He came back to Rose Lane to work as a custodian, not only to occupy the job position, but also to be a part of the community that is Rose Lane and help in that capacity. What a legacy for this year's Shining Star. Thank you. We're so grateful.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Unlike most people in the room, are not much of a public speaker, but I'll give it a go. First, I'd like to thank my fellow staff members. I'm new to this position. I've never had this kind of job before. Many of them have a lifetime of experience, which they shared with me, so I learned to work smarter, not harder, which is always good. Above all, I'd like to thank the Rose Lane community for sort of making me feel at home almost immediately. That would certainly include Rose and Andre, but really the entire staff is just wonderful. So current Rose Lane's neighborhood is fabulous. Also prior Rose Lane members, including my wife, who was a teacher, both of my children who went to Rose Lane, and my granddaughter, who now goes to Rose Lane, for making me feel at home, especially my wife. Thanks for making me feel at home, Nikki. Thank you.
And we get to have you take a photo.
Get your picture taken. Here you go.
All right. And our second Shining Star Award recipient is Lori Shoup. Lori has been going above and beyond with her job in regards to COVID-related situations and typical situations. She has been extra busy and still manages to be loving and kind to everyone she encounters. She definitely has the best interest of all in mind at all times. Every day she serves kids, parents, and staff and continues to work extremely hard to help everyone in need. Even with all the extra responsibility she has taken on, she continues to keep a smile on her face and use a loving tone. Lori goes above and beyond for all parties involved every single day. She works hard and is extremely organized. She consistently shows leadership, especially the past 2 years during the pandemic. Lori has been doing an amazing job here at MTA since she started. She has been given so much on her plate these past couple years, and she has excelled at her job even more. She is a loving person with a huge heart. Sadly for us, Lori will be leaving her position as health associate at MTA next month to take care of her elderly mom. Lori is irreplaceable and will be greatly missed. Lori Shoup is greatly appreciated, and we are so thankful to have her as one of our shining stars at MTA. Thank you, Lori, for all you do.
Sure.
Oh, gosh. So Pam Warren, our acting assistant principal, told me it's easy what to say tonight. All you do is thank the academy, which is Madison Traditional Academy. I have my wonderful husband here, Ken, and my beautiful mother, Norma, with me tonight. We recently just all moved in together, and it's been amazing. And so I'm so thrilled to get the chance to help my family more. And these 2 years have been very rough, and I've strived to give my best and give my all, and I would not have been able to do it without Mike. He has been my right-hand guy and my back, and when I'm not the most popular person on the campus amongst our parents, and he's taken the helm so many times, and I would not have been able to do this. So thank you so much, Mike. It's bittersweet to be leaving, especially I'm starting to think about things with leaving my teachers that I just love, like Char. We have a wonderful staff, and I've been with Madison since 2012, and it's been a great career. It's taken my love for medicine and my love for kids, and I was able to combine it together. So I'm truly happy, and now I'm happy just to go be the daughter and the wife and the grandmother that I need to be right now. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So thank you to all of our recipients on behalf of the governing board and district administration, all of the employees of Madison. We appreciate you for truly making a difference and for truly being that shining star. While you are welcome to attend the rest of the board meeting, you are also welcome to go ahead and leave. So thank you for being here tonight, and that concludes the presentation portion of our meeting.
Thank you so much, Dr. Baca. It's always very much a highlight to have the presentations and awards recognitions within our board meetings. Moving on to the superintendent report, 3.2, I'm going to throw it back to you, Dr. Baca.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board and executive team. I want to thank our Madison Rose Lane performers, our xylophone performers, who had their showcase earlier before the board meeting. They did a wonderful job, and it's good to see our students outside performing and their families joining for that performance. Today, the Food and Drug Administration advisors voted to recommend the Pfizer vaccine for emergency authorization for children ages 5 through 11. Next week, the CDC will consider this recommendation. In the likelihood that the CDC does give emergency authorization, Madison, along with Phoenix Union and its feeder schools, is positioned to offer vaccines to our families. We have started to work with the Maricopa County Department of Public Health, Phoenix Union, and pharmacies to host this event. We are also working with Native Health to host another vaccine event on another day that may be more convenient for our families. More information will be shared as soon as we have been given the green light to share it. Everyone just needs to be prepared. It's going to happen quickly. I'm also working with one of our doctor parents who's a pediatrician to see about getting her fellow pediatricians to be in attendance of those vaccine events in case any of our families, before they consider giving their child a vaccine, wish to consult and get advice or get information, especially for our families who may not have access to a pediatrician. So we're working on being able to do that and provide as well as information ahead of time for families to make their decisions. Next, the Arizona School Boards Association Academy of Board Development recognizes board members for their continued professional learning regarding boardsmanship. So I would first like to congratulate and recognize Karen Gresham for obtaining her Certificate of Orientation So she completed the new board member orientation program and has 6 continuing education unit hours as a rookie, so congratulations. And next to our board president, Ms. Spear, for obtaining her associate awardsmanship. That requires 60 continuing education units hours, so congratulations on that. And then finally, I just hope that everyone has a very happy and safe Halloween. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Moving on to governing board member reports. I believed I started on my left last meeting. I'm going to start on my right now. Ms. Kazi.
I have nothing to report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Osborne.
Congratulations to my fellow board members. I've been on the board 6+ years, and I'm still starting at the beginning of my continuing ed, so congratulations.
Thank you very much. Ms. Gresham.
Yeah, just a couple quick things. Last week I was able to go to the #1 choir concert. They hadn't been able to perform in almost 2 years. They were very excited to be back. I got to go as a parent and also as a volunteer usher, so that was exciting. But yeah, they did a wonderful job, and of course, like all our teachers, Ms. Salcedo and Ms. Enzor do an amazing job. So congratulations to them. And real quick for tomorrow is all our middle schools are going to the cross-country Valley Athletic Conference Championship. So good luck to our middle schools.
Thank you. Mr. Holcomb.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad you've got the education hours and are now oriented. I've been disoriented for years, but it was a really phenomenal performance, I thought, by Rose Lane. I've gone to the ASU concerts, and those students are so happy to be doing that. You could tell that from the students out there, to the ability to be able to perform. And I particularly wanted to compliment them on the improv, the blues pieces that they did. I was in the high school jazz band, and I could not improv as well as those kids are doing in elementary school. And it was just phenomenal. And I'm hoping we can get the meeting done by about 7:30, because there's an ASU concert that I'm going to next door, and I hope people continue doing that. If I can put in a plug, if you are thinking about going to Potted Potter and haven't gotten your tickets yet, you better get them quickly, because it is a legitimate sellout. All nights are approaching that, and so it's going to be a phenomenal thing to see that theater sold out. So with that, I have nothing further.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank Dr. Baca and his our administrators for working with the county in terms of getting Madison to be a point of distribution for the vaccine for our youngest students, our 5 to 11, 12 age group. I think that as a parent, that's something that I would very much want for my child, and I'm grateful that Madison School District is a leader in this, and that we have doctor parents that are pediatricians that we are able to deploy so that they may offer their expertise to parents who may have questions. So I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for your work in that. Moving on to 4.1, call for executive session. At this point, there is no need, or call for executive session. And then moving on to call to the public, 5.1. Ms. Humphreys, are there any calls to the public? Thank you. Moving on to our consent agenda, I will accept a motion.
Move we adopt the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Holcomb, seconded by Ms. Gresham. Please vote. And for those of you who are watching, there is a little bit of a delay in the computer system for our voting computer system. It's not like we're up here pondering whether or not to accept that motion. Pondering, debating. I believe it is, actually. Thank you. That motion passes. Moving on to information items. 7.1. Dr. Baca, would you please introduce this item?
Thank you, Madam President, members of the Governing Board and Executive Team. Governing Board, you have requested that Ms. Spear and I provide you update information regarding the superintendent search. The Madison application for the superintendent has gone live. Ray and Associates and their consultants are monitoring the Madison applications. As of yesterday afternoon, 12 applications are currently in progress, with 7 applications, additional applications, that have been submitted. So the initial screening for the completed applications is underway. So we know that we're going to have at least 19 applications, possible applicants, if not more. Ray and Associates have personally contacted candidates who were recommended for the position from the stakeholder focus group sessions. In addition, all advertising is in place directing applicants to the Ray and Associates website to access the Madison app. So all the ones that you approved for advertising are advertising, with the exception of one. The Arizona School Boards Association does not advertise on behalf of another search firm, and so they will not be posting Madison superintendent position on their website. And then we'd like to thank Ms. Rodriguez and her team for activating a webpage on the Madison website featuring the Madison superintendent search flyer. At the November 9th board meeting, we are scheduled to meet in executive session so that you can go through the list of suggested questions and narrow them down prior to the meeting with Ray and Associates on November 23rd at a special board meeting. I will be, as I meet with you individually for board prep, I'll be going through that with you initially so that you're prepared for that executive session. And Ms. Spear, I think that's everything, correct?
That is. I wanted to also extend my gratitude and thanks to Dr. Baca and Ms. Marshall for your support in this search process. I have been working with Dr. Baca closely and am confident that we are moving forward in a deliberate manner and that we do have a good list of questions that I look forward to hearing feedback from my fellow board members on.
And we're able to take any questions?
Yes, are there any questions from board members? Ms. Gresham?
Would you mind just reminding us when the deadline is for the applications?
November 12th.
It's the 12th, that's what I...
Is it November 12th? Yeah, that sounds correct. Yes.
It's Monday, November 12th.
Thank you.
That is November 12th, correct?
I'm looking it up now, but go ahead.
Thank you
with.
so much, Dr. Baca.
No problem.
Yes.
Maybe just a suggestion, at some point I wouldn't mind, if it's me authoring it or some of my fellow board members, a letter to ASBA saying your membership, service organization, and the fact that they're acting like a private business in the structure is somewhat troubling to me. I think it's similar to what I'm hearing with the copyright of, some of those things. I think they're starting to lose a little bit of their mission and vision, and we may want to point that out in a very polite way.
I was planning to shoot an email tonight, but I don't know if the board is okay with that from myself alone. But I'm just stunned. I have to say stunned for multiple reasons. But when you are an association of an entire of community of board, like one business side should not hijack your overall mission, which is, I feel, is what we're seeing happen. I'm just beyond the pale stunned.
I don't believe that your feelings on that are unique. And while, of course, you cannot speak on behalf of the board, I absolutely support your efforts as an individual board member to share your thoughts. Are there any other questions or comments?
And the official application deadline is Monday, November 15th.
Thank you. There was a debate as to whether it would be Friday, November 12th or Monday, November 15th. So it was decided for it to be Monday, November 15th for that weekend for any latecomer applicants to have a weekend to go ahead and get their application finalized. Thank you for that clarification. Mr. Holcomb?
Yes, just a question from Ray and Associates. What kind of feedback have you gotten on the response? I mean, 19 is a good start, but we normally get, when we've done it before, significantly more applicants than that, I think, for initially. I know a lot of them get weeded out. But what kind of feedback have you gotten from the search firm?
We do know that some of the that we are getting very good applicants. I am not able to see any of those applicants for good reason.
Right.
And just as a reminder that a weekend, that is not a bad number. So I anticipate and expect that to increase.
2 weeks still.
Mm-hmm. As I do as well.
Are there any other comments or questions with regards to the superintendent search, item 7.1? Moving on to 7.2, Bond and Override Expenditure Report. Dr. Baca.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the Governing Board and Executive Team. By state statute, any school district that has voter-approved overrides or bonds are required to report in an open meeting. By October 31st, our programs and capital improvements financed through those voter-approved overrides and bonds. And so I'll turn it over to our Deputy Superintendent, Ms. Lori Garvey, to present this item.
Thank you, Dr. Baca. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Baca, and executive team. The following report is a culmination of our bond and override expenditures for the prior school year, as well as we will look at what's budgeted for this current school year that we're in. Our first override is our maintenance and operations override. The total expenditures for the override were $4.9 million, just a little bit over. The override does allow us to continue the operations of the district as we have it, so the expenditures follow the percentages in which the total maintenance and operation budget was expended. As we know from our AFR, the majority of our budget, 84.3%, is in salaries and benefits. That's $4.1 million. 7.6% of our budget is in purchase service, representing $374,000. 5.3% is in utilities at $261,000, and our final category is the supplies at $137,000, representing 2.8% of the override. When we look at the budget for next year compared to this year, we can see that while this year our expenditures and our budget was $4.9 million, next year's budget for our override did slightly go down to $4.785 million. The reason for that is because it is based on our formula amount that is calculated based on our average daily membership times the formula amount, and our membership for this current school year is lower than the school year before, or what it was projected to be when the budget was adopted. We do set the amount based on our adopted budget, which is based on the enrollment from the prior fiscal year, so it can get confusing about which year we're talking about, but in order to set the tax rate, we go with the best number we have at the time, which is the 100th day from the prior fiscal year. Next, we go into our capital override. This one, the categories are as outlined: instructional technology, curricular resource, preventative maintenance, and copiers, broken out by administrative and non-administrative expenses. Unlike the M&O override, which can be used to fund a variety of things, the capital override specifically mentions in the pamphlet, and the voters vote specifically on these items. So the funding has to be spent in those categories. You can see the voter pamphlet amounts. The total budget last year for the capital override was $3,285,977. We did spend $1.5 million. So there is a difference of $1.7 million. We do not lose that amount. It does roll forward into our current fiscal year. And we do purposely sometimes too roll funds because of textbook adoptions. We did not have a textbook adoption last year, and some of our capital expenditures were lower too as a result of the school year that we had due to COVID. So, but that money is there, just so you know, and it is intact to be spent on one of these categories, most likely curricular resource in the future. Our budget, like M&O, it's based on the number of students that we have. So it too did go down slightly. So our budget went from almost $3.3 million to almost $3.2. So it went down about $100,000 for this year that we are in. Next, we look at our bond expenditures. We do have 2 bond programs going on right now. So this slide here represents the end of our 2014 voter-approved bond program, which was for $95 million. Last year, the total expenditures were $4,474,000, leaving us with a balance going into this year of $6.8 million. And then our second bond program was approved by the voters in November of 2019. We issued our first, we had our first issuance in spring of 2020 of $35 million. We have $55 million of voter-approved but unissued bonds left there for future sales. We did have expenditures this past year of $7.2 million, and those were to go to complete the second phase of Madison Meadows. When we look at our budgeted bond expenditures, what's remaining from that $35 million that we had issued, we have the following projects. We have the Madison Meadows gym rebuild, remodel, the Madison Park rebuild. We have safety and security measures, furniture and equipment, playground equipment, and buses. So over the next year, you will probably be updated on these projects as Mr. Calvin goes forward. Just wanted to provide you with what happened to our tax rate, as all of these things are 100% funded by the taxpayers of our district. The M&O override went down from 43 cents per thousand of assessed value to 40 cents, and it continues down. You can see that the tax rate in all categories of overrides and bonds did go down. Overall, our secondary tax rate went from $2.19 to $2.03, which was a decrease of 16.32 cents per $1,000 of assessed valuation. That reflects an overall decrease in our tax rate of 7.45%. And that was it. Are there any questions?
And before you have any questions, Madam President, just a reminder that I think we appreciate and thank our taxpayers, our voters, our community for always supporting our overrides and bonds, and we appreciate that and don't take their support for granted.
Absolutely. Thank you. Are there any questions? Dr. Osborne.
Ms. Garvey, the last slide on the rate, is that mainly because the assessed value is skyrocketing in our district, or are there other factors that are impacting that rate going down?
It is a combination. The bonds would definitely be because of a change in assessed valuation. The overrides are a combination of assessed valuation and the lower amount that we are levying.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? Thank you, as always, Ms. Garvey, for your report. And I do want to also echo what Dr. Baca said with regards to our taxpayers. Each one of us at some point or another has been a pivotal part of a bond or an override campaign prior to our becoming members of the board. And we do not take that for granted. We are also taxpayers in this district. And it is very important for our taxpayers to understand that we take this job very seriously and consider ourselves fiscally conservative despite any kind of political ideology in terms of other issues. We are all very mindful of the trust that our taxpayers have put in the Madison School District. Moving on to action items, 8.1, Dr. Baca.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the Governing Board and Executive Team. As you know, per your Governing Board policy, you are able to take policies as a first and second read. Traditionally, they're done as a first read, and then the subsequent board meeting, you adopt them and consider adopting them as a second read. The reason why we're bringing you 8.1 and 8.2 is due to the shortage of bus drivers as well as other workers. And the particular one that you see at policy EEAEA, we're asking that you approve this policy so that we can streamline our applications for our employees who are bus drivers, where we assume the costs that they had to assume when they would obtain their license to drive. So the district will pick up that cost, and hopefully that will increase the number of applicants and those who would take the job as a bus driver. So I ask for first and second read approval of this policy.
Thank you. I will accept a motion to approve policy revisions to Governing Board Policy EEAEA, Bus Driver Requirements, Training, and Responsibilities, as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Ms. Gresham, seconded by Dr. Osborne.
Madam President?
Yes.
Can I, just one quick comment on discussion before we vote?
Yes.
I know through my professional experience that this is a huge problem, not only just locally, but there are special meetings going on for public transportation authorities and cities and towns where they're going and having emergency raising fees and having to do a lot of other things. It's not just school bus drivers, it's bus drivers, and actually, if you follow it, they're also cutting routes and that because they physically cannot have the number of drivers out there. So I'm glad we're taking this step, and I think we'll be looking at probably other steps to be able to keep the buses moving.
Excuse me. Thank you. Moved by Ms. Gresham, seconded by Dr. Osborne. Please vote. That motion passes unanimously. Moving on to 8.2, which is also a first read and also action. Dr. Baca.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the Governing Board and Executive Team. Governing Board Policy GDFA, we are changing it so that this affects not just our bus drivers, but other classified and certified employees, whereas we used to charge the applicant for their fingerprint clearance card and background check. We instead are going to assume those charges in hopes of being able to have hire more employees, especially in our MAC program, as well as in other hard-to-fill positions. So I ask for your approval of this policy as a first and second read.
Thank you very much. I will accept a motion to approve policy revision to Governing Board Policy GDFA, support staff qualifications and requirements.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve policy revision to Governing Board Policy GDFA.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Ms. Causey, seconded by Dr. Osborne. Please vote.
Madam Chair, can I explain my vote?
Yes.
I'm very supportive of this policy, but I think at some point, for these critical positions, the state may want to start thinking about providing this service for free on behalf of the taxpayers, at least for public entities. So with that, I vote aye.
Thank you. I know I would support that. That motion passes unanimously. Moving on to board policies first read, 9.1 through 9.12. Dr. Baca.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the Governing Board and Executive Team. These policies are being brought to you for revision so that they are in alignment with all of the state statute and laws that passed this last legislative session. So I'm open to taking them one by one or answering any questions and putting them up there if any board member wishes to discuss any one of these 12.
In the interest of time, I would like to hear from board members if it would be okay with each of them. If we were to just ask questions about these as opposed to going through each and every one of these, if we would be able to ask any questions that you might have. Mr. Holcomb.
Yes, are there any Madison unique changes that are significant or related to these, or are these all just to bring us into compliance?
Mr. Holcomb, Madam President, members of the board and executive team, any of the Madison language we are keeping. With the others, it's just either an entire policy that needs to be implemented or language that conforms to state statute and or clarifying language that helps to clarify law that is currently in effect.
I actually have a question, Dr. Baca. Has this had an opportunity, have we had our legal team, have they had an opportunity to review these?
As a matter of fact, Madam President, members of the board and executive team, and Ms. Marshall, I can't remember which specific policy, but we did run it by Ms. McLennan, and she offered language that was a little bit more simplified and that was a little bit more clear. Ms. Marshall, do you recall which of these policies that was?
Thank you, President Spear and governing board members and members of executive team. That was the policy regarding parents' review of curricular materials. So I'm looking through the list.
I think that's policy IJJ.
Correct, yes. the instructional 9.11, the instructional resources and materials, that we did get some guidance from our legal counsel. And our legal counsel also provided training through an administrative leadership team meeting for our site administrators on many of the policies that are impacting instruction and the site level work with students.
Thank you very much, and thank you for working through that and making sure that our administrators are up to date in terms of what the latest policies would be. If there are no other questions, I'm going to let this be as a first read. Oh, yes, Ms. Garvey.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Bach, and executive team. In addition, we did have legal review JFB open enrollment, and changes were made to that as well.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me know that, and thank you, Mr. Holcomb. I always want to call you Dr. Holcomb. I'm not quite sure why. Thank you for alerting me to Ms. Garvey. With that, moving on to 10.1, future meetings. Dr. Baca.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the Governing Board and Executive Team. Our next meeting is on November 9th. We have scheduled an executive session regarding the superintendent search for 5 p.m. We will be having a You Make the Difference in Shining Star for Madison Meadows and Madison Simas. We're hoping that prior to the beginning of the regular meeting at 6 o'clock, Simas would be able to show you their showcase here in the boardroom through a video, and so that's something that we would want to consider as well. We will give you an update regarding any of the superintendent search. All the policies you just reviewed as a first read, you will be reviewing as a second read in terms of what was just presented tonight and adopting those, or considering adopting those. We also have as an action item that will be a proposed change to an ASBA bylaw, as well as some other action items for your consideration. And then as you can see, the subsequent meetings that are special meetings are all dealing with the superintendent search, and please note those times. And as we approach that and get closer to that, any questions you might have or any clarifications you need on those meetings, I'll be happy to address.
Thank you very much, Dr. Baca. Are there any questions? Okay, moving on to adjourn. 11.1, I will accept a motion.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Causey, seconded by Dr. Osborne. Please vote. Ms. Gresham was almost the second. That motion passes unanimously. We are adjourned.